we were sprinting because we didn't have the funds needed. And it was really when everything was crashing. It was when FTX crashed and that no money was being given or invested in anything to do with metaverse. So we had to also change.
Welcome to another episode of the Seven Figure Journey podcast, where we explore the ins and outs of the seven figure journey. My name is David Gilliland, one of your hosts. So delighted today to have Rania Ajami here with us. She co founded Metropolis. Uh, Rania, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So tell us how this was you and your brother went in on this. Tell us, how did you think this up? How did you decide to do it? And just tell us a little bit about your business and who you serve.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's important to start that before Metropolis, I'd spent at least 10, 15 years world building. So, very much about creating a world that you could enter from the ground up, explore, go on an amazing journey. And that sort of came about through Pips Island, which was actually a very big immersive experience in Times Square for children that was a big hit. And so thousands and thousands of families and children that really went on a hero's journey. And because of COVID, unfortunately, we had to close that down. It was quite a sad thing, and as a also as a someone who'd spent 7 years on this business, very heartbreaking, but a good lesson. So during COVID, and then a little bit after that, when NFTs, now a word we can't even really say, they have so much bad rep, and the metaverse was coming about, my brother and I came together and we saw what was happening. We thought we can build something so much more here with so much more substance that can really excite, all kinds of customers and bring them into a world, into a community that's curated. So we created Metropolis, which is a virtual ecosystem that also bridges into your physical life, into tangible assets. So we're always about bridging your digital experience with your physical one. And we do this through these cities where people can own their own properties. They can shop using their digital identity, using our avatar builder, and they can also interact with thousands of different creators such as famous DJs, musicians, young brands, streetwear designers, filmmakers, etc. So we really curated a very cool cultural community. And you can own a property. Within that property right now, we are expanding the utility so you can have like a 3D immersive website. You can sell both digital and physical collectibles, print on demand. You can launch your own quest. So if I'm a musician and I want to have a more immersive interaction with my fans, I can launch a quest and skin it how I want, and take them on these journeys. And really, Metropolis, what is wrapped around this world, which if you look at metropolisworld.io, and you'll see the visuals are really quite splendid, is a lot of lore and storytelling and mythology. So people can also come in and really fall in love with the characters, with the stories of these different properties. It has a very Miyazaki like aesthetic, a lot of people say. So that's, sorry, it was a long answer, but that's how it kind
Okay.
of came about.
Multi-dimensional business, several different people creating an entire ecosystem, like you were saying, world building in the virtual space here that can tie into the tangible, into regular life. That um, you know, wonderfully complex and successful for you. I mean, you in the last couple of years, you quickly rose to over 1 million in your revenues. You have so many different revenue streams. You've done some great work, and you've been building a team. Uh, what are some of the lessons you've learned that have helped you, let's say post launching? All right, now you've got revenue coming in, and you're trying to grow, you're trying to develop, you're trying to nurture this and get it to its full potential. What have you learned? What's helped you succeed?
I think for us, I mean, we're in a very wild west sector, so you're constantly having to be on your toes, and you constantly have to be nimble and able to pivot, because what used to be desirable or cool or sort of the thing changes. And I think for us, it's been, we know we've created something here that has so much, and as you said, is very complex. But how do we now go to the essence of that? So that's really been one of those things we keep coming back to, is like, look, we have all these ideas. There's a lot this business can do. There's multiple revenue streams, but always coming back to, why would anyone care? How do we reach everyone, not just Web3 people? That's another thing, is we're very much in a Web3 bubble. And to us, we always are like, well, why would my son care? Why would my mother care in coming into the Metropolis world? So I wouldn't say we've figured out that question. It's just, well, there's little lessons always on the way that help us, I feel, kind of reach the answer to that question, of, why are we doing this? Like, what's this? How do we simplify it? Because it is quite a
Yeah.
complex thing to have a world. There's a lot going on. It's not a simple business.
Yeah. And I mean, do you take regular time to do that? Or is it just, okay, we're running. Let's all just take a breath. Let's have a drink. Let's think through this. Is it just randomly come up, or do you and your brother intentionally take time to say, "Wow, while my business is growing complex, we have to get clearer and more to the core, the essence, and really focus." What do you practically do as a team there to pull that off?
I mean, I'd say that there was a period of time we were not able to do that because we were sprinting. We were sprinting to launch our Avatar Builder meets Marketplace. That was a huge undertaking with such a small team. We were sprinting because we didn't have the funds needed. And it was really when everything was crashing. It was when FTX crashed, and that no money was being given or invested in anything to do with metaverse. So we had to also change the fact that we're not a metaverse. So there was a long period of time where that just couldn't happen, which I think is just the reality of being a small startup. But recently, uh, we've had investments, so we've had a period of time where we talk about it regularly. We think we have an idea, we hash it out, then you come back to it again, you realize it's not that great. Having conversations with advisors, we have amazing advisors. So recently we've had about 2 months to sort of come back to the table, and I would say only in the past few weeks have we, I think, seen the light and have sort of seen what Metropolis 2.0 needs to go, that direction. But it wasn't easy because the other problem is you're so in your own bubble in your own head, and we also have a community of people, so the community thinks you should be doing this, but maybe that's not really what you should be doing. So it wasn't easy, but I'd say recently we finally found that time, and I think we found the answers.
Oh, that's great. I mean, what a key, though, right? We get in the busy of growth, and the fires to put out, and the things have to be built so quickly. Challenges have to be faced. If we don't take time to breathe and center, really focus on what are we really about, and what's the value we really hope to bring, and does that align with what the world needs now, or my target customers. If we don't stop to do that, we just sort of run the course of our business until it flatlines. Like, we
Mm,
just do, right? Um, Unless we really get clear, it becomes a job, and it often becomes a debt. It just hangs on us. And so I love that you do that. I love that you take the time. Any other nuggets you think are worthwhile sharing with us? Things that have helped you and your brother at this stage of growth in your business?
I think on the one hand, you said, oh, what is it that the world needs right now. But I think sometimes there's a thing that people don't realize they need it. So it's that thing of thinking ahead of what
Hmm.
they will need, but they don't actually know. And I think that's always been a battle of, I feel like our issue, I mean, my brother and I, just with the businesses we've had in the past, I sometimes think we're a little too ahead, which can also be harmful because,
Yeah.
and but trying to balance that, trying to balance like how do we communicate to our audience so they get it now, but how are we two steps ahead because we know the technology is going there, the new generation's habits are going there, you know seeing where that direction and where it will go, and being smart enough to get there with with the finances that we have, is always like a tricky thing. And also, I think another thing we've learned is you don't need to have to throw so much money to make something that people really want. And we happen to be in a business where you've got companies like the Facebooks of the world, the Robloxes, the Fortnites, and they just have 100
Gobs
million
of
more.
money.
So for us, it was like that's okay, but we have what's our edge, and always thinking about how we, the sort of the David and against the Goliath here, how
Yeah.
can we make our mark, and that's that's exciting, and I think it's always that's where you can find that like magic sauce of how you're putting all the different ingredients together, when you're making a product or an experience.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. Though you've talked about, this size, sometimes we're just running, we're doing, we can't think clearly where we're going, and then we're trying to breathe. Y- You're different than most businesses out there in this respect, that you are in what I call a bleeding edge level of business when it comes to the innovation side. You know, you're out there. There isn't a response to demand. It's a create a future,
Mm,
right? Um, and that happens in every industry. It's just most of us don't realize someone's out there creating the thing that is helping people know this is where you want to go. This will solve your problem. Uh, Nobody was looking for a virtual world to display their stuff. That's
yeah.
not what it was about, right? People were looking for, and I loved how you went to this. You weren't creating a marketplace, that was a piece of an experience. They were looking for a story, they were looking for an adventure, they were looking for an environment to be in, to explore, to be a part of, right? And you were creating this whole ecosystem that creators, adventurers, that everyone could be engaged in. It's creating new stuff.
Mm,
That's challenging. That's challenging to take that time. So I love the insight you shared there, which was we have to be seeing two steps ahead. Where's the technology moving? We're watching that. Others just experience it when it comes to them. We see where it's going, what its capabilities will be. What can we set up so our users can step into it and enjoy it? That they can find the essence of why they come to your community, which I don't know what that essence is, but I'm assuming you do. There's some reason they come there, some
mm,
part of life they fulfill, um, by being a part of that area, being part of that world. And now, how do you help them step into the next, into the next, into the next, without jumping too far ahead? Right? Got to give them the next step, or we lose them. We didn't pull them along with
I
us.
mean, we call it the evolution of your online experience. So the evolution of a website, or the evolution of your brand identity, or the evolution of your social media, channel or feed. So we really sort of use that kind of that term, like join the evolution. And then I think the other thing too is, one thing that a lot of people do in our space, which I feel is a mistake, is they always like to show the technology, which most people don't care about. It's like they want to show the plumbing
Yeah.
versus show the living room or the house. And so I think for us, we've always been very big on content, creator spotlights, cool art, because that's what people really care about at the end of the day. Storytelling is really
Yeah.
key. And I think that's really what Pips Island was when I was, that was for different demographic. That was for 4-year-olds to 10-year-olds. But it was the reason why people fell in love with it is because they went on this amazing story with these characters. So I
Yeah.
think that's the same thing here, is bringing people in, letting them feel emotionally connected, whether it's to an artist or a story or a character, or just an environment.
That's really neat. And that's that when you talk about getting back to our essence. What
Yes.
was our essence, right? The investors that you have now are like, oh yeah, do this revenue channel and this one, and let's do this, and you could tack this on. Like, hold up a second. First and foremost, it's this experience that brings people to this environment where now there's opportunity for everyone to grow
Mm.
because it exists, right? Anyway, very cool. Thank you so much for sharing and giving a little insight into the creators of this new space.
My pleasure.
Now that you've grown to this phase, the reward as entrepreneurs that we get for overcoming obstacles and growing is new obstacles, right? New challenges, new things to face. What are you facing now that perhaps we could help with? And I hope you don't ask me any tech questions because I don't know anything. But what are you facing now? Maybe we can be of help.
I think, it's every entrepreneur, I'm sure, faces this, which is fundraising. It's it's the worst soul sapping part of it all. And I think with a venture like this, again, you're selling. It's not like a restaurant, right, or something where you've got, it's an immediate revenue stream. For us, you have you need quite an investment to build the world. So I think the challenge is the fundraising process, but being creative with that too. Because like we've knocked, there was a period of time we knocked on so many doors and nothing was happening. So then we thought, you know what, let's launch a token. Let's launch a token that powers our ecosystem, and it will unlock investment. So that actually was really great, and it did bring investment. So now as we get ready to launch our token, the next challenge will be post token. How do you continue the fundraising in a creative way? How do you bring the right backers in? How do you communicate that vision? So I mean, for me, it's really not very original, but fundraising is definitely always one of the biggest
Have you
obstacles.
already built in your world your banks and things like that that people can actually go and do deposits and get some things back that you know
We have a
right?
casino.
Why not? Right? Let's let and build our. I mean, if you've got your own token, it means you've already got your Federal Reserve, and
Yeah,
now what's the rest of it that you could build that could, in essence, fund it? And
exactly.
what do both rents and taxes mean? Because taxes are the general infrastructure, and the rents are the
Yeah,
I start seeing opportunity within the community to be one side, but externally, it's a great question. It's a great question. And I think one of the hardest things, and I'm going to do something you're going to hate. I'm going to take it another direction altogether. If you're okay with that, and you could tell me, no, Dave, let's go back to the first question. But business owners, a lot of times when we get into fundraising rounds and thinking through that, we forget two other critical functions of our role and how we should go about doing it if we're going to have long-term loyalty and impact with our team and the people we serve. And so, business owner, we all have to remember that our job is to set the vision, build the team, and don't run out of cash. And to do that while caring, right? While genuinely caring about the people that are investing their time and energy with us. Uh, and we get into fundraising rounds and we get so dialed into the vision the investors want to hear and the dollars and cents over and over again and how that moves that our own team suffers and sometimes isn't built and grown to really deliver what we need later. So much time and effort to get the cash and so little time being used in order to ensure that when that cash comes, we've got the right team. We're
Mm,
really growing the way we need to. We have people who are fully dedicated to this because, man, fundraising, there should be an entrepreneurial venture that's nothing but we just raise funds for you. Like that's all we do because every one of us business owners end up spending, if we choose to go the fundraising route or if we have to, you'll spend solid 6 months where you don't have extra cycles in time just fundraising.
yeah, exactly. Um,
Right.
but I guess what's nice is that because I co-founded Metropolis with my brother, I think we soon learned, because we were both on those calls and pitching and all that. And I think at some point we're like, you know what? My brother, you're much better at the pitches. You're incredible at all that fundraising stuff. I'm really more the creative. I hate asking anyone for money. So why don't I? So we sort of, that whole, divide and conquer.
Divided that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's been working so well because it allows me to have the time to really dream up what this new phase is, think about it, actually meet members of my team and have like long workshop sessions, like face to
Yeah.
face, which then out of that comes like that again, that magic. So then when my brother sort of dials in, and I can be like, listen, I think I found it, or you know what about this idea, which is something he can either be like, yeah, that's great, or oh, I'm not so sure about that. But he's also allowed to then go back and do like the fundraising and worry on that. So I think that balance, and I think being a founder all by yourself, I tried it once and it was just too
It was
difficult.
awful.
It was
Yeah.
awful. Whereas I think if you've got someone by your side, it's makes the journey so much easier and more fun, and
I love that you found a great solution for it, and I hope others do too. Next thing is that the two of you, more than likely, and it's not a guaranteed thing, but more than likely, you and your brother share some core values and a similar vision as far as a purpose of what you're trying to achieve. There's great alignment,
yeah.
and so one can do the other, right? You can be a part and do and succeed, but that same alignment that the two of you have, if there's anything I could do, it's in helping people from my perspective in the fundraising round, it's how much are we being selective about our funders.
Mm, that's a great
Sometimes
way.
we think in our minds, and the venture capitalists and the PE firms, they put you right to that spot as quickly as they can. We're here to judge your stuff, right? You got your pitch. You're doing a pitch deck. How many of them are pitching you, right? Uh, and it's as though dating is a one sided thing, that the woman picks it, period, and the guy's just got to come around, or vice versa, right? And it's just one sided, but it isn't. And so getting clear about who are the investors that we want, because $10 million does not equal $10 million, does not equal $10 million. What it's tied to is very different in value. And so getting really clear about who are the investors we should have with us, and being able to talk with and interview people in their current portfolios. I want to
Mm,
talk with some of the other companies, their heads. What has their experience been? What's that look like? Because am I going to get an investor that just gives me dollars and I'm one of the 10 or 20 in that given portfolio? Um, and maybe I take off in year one. And so I get all the attention and the rest are ignored. Or maybe our build is taking a little longer, but the rest of the investment dollars never pay out to us. We're forgotten. We become a dog. Or maybe we get pushed, we're doing fine in our progress, but all they are is a financial back and forth, pushing on the financials, trying to squeeze it out because they're ready to sell that business and move on to their next investment. And all they're trying to do is get your numbers to look right for the next round instead of help you achieve your vision. So 3 rounds from now, we really succeed. And
mm,
so seeing those differences, Who's going to be our lead investor? How tight are they? Do they want to travel with us through this, or are they doing a fast churn? uh, it just dramatically impacts the business and some of our decisions when the investors start to breathe down the neck,
Well, it's
unless they're
okay.
aligned with the vision. When they're aligned with the vision, they're breathing down the neck is great. It's going the direction we want it to, right?
But I actually think it could kill a business if you choose the wrong investor.
Yes.
And I had that happen um, with the last business, which was it could have really flown and gone places, even though it didn't have a physical space because of couldn't have that during COVID time. And the investor just he
Chickened out, right? Yeah, they pulled.
killed it. He killed the baby, really. And but there were many opportunities, and also, yeah, with the wrong investor, it can
That's
just
right.
be the end. And it's looking back, I would probably have not. I'd rather not have taken that investor's money, waited longer, because I think it would have helped in the long run.
That's a beautiful lesson you can teach lots of people. And then just think, if we put this much input and investment and time into our pitch decks,
Mm,
how much time are we putting in our selection criteria for investors? Have we been clear? Do we know how we're measuring it? Do we have a rating system for it? Are we talking about that, right? And working down through. Then, when we identify the investors we want, if we don't align yet, those it's worth fixing, changing, doing some things to get the ones that we really want to be a part of. It's
yeah.
sometimes we feel like I have to have the money now, and early money hurts us.
Yes.
The right money helps us. So that's all. Those would be my thoughts. I would say, hey, let's introduce you to so and so and so and so. You've got a lot of people there in New York that are part of the investment communities. You're meeting people. I would look at this as one of the most important hires, and I would get very selective in identifying what we want and how we're going to discern, do they really have it?
Yeah.
Past
Yeah.
performance is the best predictor of future performance
Yeah.
and behavior. So
And we've actually recently had to turn away investment, and which I never thought,
that is
when you're
such a healthy and good thing to do.
yeah,
So that's
because they
awesome.
just wasn't worth the amount they wanted for the amount they wanted to put in. It's like we knew we have faith in our business. It's fine. We can
Yes,
wait a
we
few
can
weeks.
wait. And a lot of business owners are going to say, "Oh, how am I going to make that decision?" Let's go back to the advice you gave us at the beginning. Take the time to focus in on what is the essence, what matters most. And now that you and your brother have a little breathing space, and let's pretend even it felt like you didn't have breathing space, you were working, you're going crazy. When you have a sick day, you have to take off anyway, when you just have nothing. So schedule a sick day that you and your business partner and a key leader on the team, or maybe the whole team if you're small, where you stop and you say on a quarterly basis, where are we headed? What's the essence? And I would start way above customer value proposition. And I would get out here to what's the impact we want to have? What are the
Mm,
changes we hope to make? Then
exactly.
down into what are the things, the values or truths that we base our decisions on? You know, I shouldn't quite go to truths, but let's just say values, kind of principles that we live by. Because truths are going to, like gravity, it's going to happen no matter what. But we can choose how we treat people. We can choose, are we transparent in everything we do? We can choose, there's certain, I call them core values. When we get clear about our why, and we get clear about our who and who belongs, um, and then we get clear about what's the big thing we're going to do in the next 2 years or 3 years, right, or 10 years, and we measure against that. We get
Mm,
clear about that. It starts to be a lot easier to pull off our deck. It starts to be a lot easier to pick our capital partners. It starts to be easier to hire well. It starts to get easier to make decisions quickly and to trust our team to make decisions when we're not around, because we've been clear about our overall vision, and then we get clear about our plan every quarter, right?
Yep.
How's that
Yes.
aligning? And Do we need to revisit this now that we've moved down this path? Maybe we didn't see far enough. Let's change this mission. Let's change, right?
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
that thinking, I think that's a key thing we can do even when we have a small team, is to take a little bit of time, even if it looks like a sick day. Some, technology failure, we can't talk with anyone, and let's take the time to get clear. That's all I've got for you in your investment search. Are some things people don't talk about as much.
Yes, no, thank you.
Uh, Thank you, Rania. We really appreciated just having you on the call. For people who want to really explore, like, wow, what would this be like, right? To really be engaged in Metropolis, or perhaps be a funder for what you're doing, how would they get in touch with you?
I think the first thing is to visit metropolisworld.io. It really, I mean, the website's very good at showing our vision. Um, Through that, you can visit our marketplace platform, Metropolis X, which is there. You can visit the first city and explore all the different properties. The website also has information about our Clay token, the upcoming launch there as well. And so I think that's the first stop, the website. And then in terms of contacting me, I don't know how you do it, if you give emails or what, or on
That would be
Twitter.
just fine if you
Yeah,
want to.
sure. Rania at metropolisworld.io. Always happy to speak to anyone who's interested or has questions about the company. We really have an exciting Metropolis 2.0 sort of next phase for the company, which we're currently secretly sort of putting together all those pieces. But I think it's really groundbreaking, and it's we have just very, very excited about those. So, but yeah, to answer your question, website and then my email.
Well, that's wonderful. Rania, thank you again. Thank you for what
Thank
you
you.
brought. And for all of those listening today, if you liked some of the insights that Rania shared with us, please like and share. Get those to other seven-figure business owners so they too can benefit from the lessons that she has learned.
Thank you.
Until our next episode, keep learning, striving, growing, getting that clarity you need, and above all else, keep caring.